Falchagou Gali Antur.
Bienvenue à votre émission de musique celtique, écossaise et irlandaise. Avec vos animateurs
Le quartier maître Bruce Sinclair.
et la cartographe Margaret McLennan.
Vous y entendrez de la musique, mais aussi des petites capsules culturelles, des rires et des foleries.
Et naturellement, n'oubliez surtout pas de préparer votre chat, car nous aurons notre traditionnel toast, bien entendu.
Alors, montez le volume, asseyez-vous confortablement. Votre émission hebdomadaire commence maintenant.
Bonsoir tout le monde et bienvenue à une autre émission du Gali Antur, encore en mode vacances pour la dernière fois. Et oui, la semaine prochaine, on repart en neuf pour la nouvelle saison. Alors ce soir, comme d'habitude, musique, mur à mur et jasette dans le chat. Ne vous gênez pas, n'ayez pas peur de discuter. Alors, on y va tout de suite avec cette merveilleuse musique, en commençant avec Gali Antur, Ballade.
Sailing through the wild storm on the Gali Antur, we go with Bruce Sinclair and Margaret McLennan. Tales of seas they sow, battling the waves that crash, brave hearts beating fast, adventures on this ship, stories that will forever last. From the shores of old Scotland to the lands across the sea, the Gali Antur takes us where no one else would be. From pirates and sea monsters to treasure buried deep, Bruce and Mark fearlessly sail with secrets they will keep. Oh, the Gali Antur, a vessel so grand with Bruce and Margaret, sailing hand in hand, they sing of epic tales, and the oceans they roll, the legends of the sea, forever our hearts below.
My love to my bride, with dear caresses and pride, shall ever be shown. Each virtue most rare, her soul possesses, and fair and sweet as she grows. My heart used to rove in boyish folly before the love I had known, but now I'm her own. My heart is holy, my darling's alone, alone. To be my fair young Mary with thee, my beautiful bride, in love true and strong that ne'er shall vary abide. I thrill with pleasure and pride. That flourished a bright and beautiful, out from above, desiring greatly, love unto me I drew. None else could have moved that tree, so stately it was only for me that it grew. Shall ever be shown. Each virtue most rare her soul possesses, and fair and sweet as she grows.
Mon père, il m'a marié avec un marchand de velours. Le premier jour de mes noces, il m'arriva un vilain tour. Oh, guélon là, la jeune falurette, oh, guélon là, la jeune falurée. Le premier jour de mes noces, il m'arriva un vilain tour. On vint cogner à ma porte à 3 heures avant le jour. Oh, guélon là, la jeune falurette, oh, guélon là, la jeune falurée. On vint cogner à ma porte à 3 heures avant le jour. Levez-vous, jeune mariée, oh, levez-vous, car il est jour. Oh, guélon là, la jeune falurette, oh, guélon là, la jeune falurée. Levez-vous, jeune mariée, oh, levez-vous, car il est jour. Y a du monde à la boutique qui marchande de la velours. Oh, guélon là, la jeune falurette, oh, guélon là, la jeune falurée. Y a du monde à la boutique qui marchande de la velours. Que le daube emporte la boutique aussi les marchands de velours. Oh, guélon là, la jeune falurette, oh, guélon là, la jeune falurée. Que le daube emporte la boutique aussi les marchands de velours. Les chevaux de chez mon père, ils sont mieux soignés qu'à moi. guilon-là, la jeune falurette, oh, guilon-là, la jeune falurée. Sont soignés au foin l'avoine, un coup d'étri avant le jour. Et moi qui suis jeune mariée, faut-il que je me lève avant le jour? Ah, guilon-là, la jeune falurette, oh, guilon-là, la jeune falurée.
Dressed in the dark, and she whispered amen. She was pretty and pink like a young girl again. 20 years married, but she never thought twice. She picked up her bags and walked into the night. Silver wings carried her over the sea, from the west coast of Ireland to West Tennessee, to be with her sweetheart. But she left everything, from Galway to Graceland, to be with the king. Sang Love Me Tender, that's the song she liked best. She had Elvis, I love you, tattooed on her breast. But they landed in Memphis, her heart beat so fast. She dreamed for so long now she'd see him at last. Knelt by his graveside day after day. Come closing time, they would lead her away to be with her sweetheart. Well, she left everything, from Galway to Graceland, to be with the king. Thousands they came from the whole human race to pay their respects at his last resting place. Ah, but blindly she knelt there, and she told him her dreams, and she thought that he answered, oh, that's how it seemed. Dragged her away, it was handcuffs this time. She said, my dear man, are you out of your mind? Don't you know that we're married? See, I'm wearing his ring. I come from Galway to Graceland to be with the king. I come from Galway to Graceland to be with the king.
In a neat little town they call Belfast, apprentice to trade I was bound. And many an hour sweet happiness have I spent in that neat little town. I took a stroll down Broadway, meaning not long for to stay, when I met this pretty fair maid, come traipsing along the highway. Her eyes, they shone like diamonds. I thought her the queen of the land. And her hair, it hung over her shoulders, tied up with a black velvet band. I took a stroll with this fair maid when the gentleman passed us by, and I knew she meant the doing of him by the look in her roguish black eye. A gold watch he took from his pocket and placed it right into my hand. And the very first thing I said was, "Bad access to the black velvet band." Her eyes, they shone like diamonds. I thought her the queen of the land. And her hair, it hung over her shoulder, tied up with a black velvet band. Before the judge and the jury, next morning I had to appear. And the judge, he said unto me, "Young man, your case, it's proven clear. We'll give you 7 years of jail to be spent far away from the land, far away from your friends and relations, betrayed by the black velvet band." So come all you my young fellows, a warning take by me. When you're out on the town Milans, beware of the pretty Collins. Her eyes, they shone like diamonds. I thought her the queen of the land. And her hair, it hung over her shoulder, tied up with a black velvet band. Her eyes, they shone like diamonds. I thought her the queen of the land. And her hair, it hung over her shoulders, tied up with a black velvet band.
For many's the year I've spent all me money on whiskey and beer. I'll go to some hollow and I'll set up me still, and I'll make you a gallon for a 10-shilling bill. I'm a rambler, I'm a gambler, I'm a long ways from home, and if you don't like me, well, leave me alone. I'll eat when I'm hungry and I'll drink when I'm dry. If the moonshine don't kill me, I'll live till I die. I'll go to some hollow in this country, 10 gallons of wash and I'll go on a spree. No lover to follow in the world is all mine. I love none so well as I love the moonshine. I'm a rambler, I'm a gambler, I'm a long ways from home. And if you don't like me, well, leave me alone. I'll eat when I'm hungry, and I'll drink when I'm dry. If the moonshine don't kill me, I'll live till I die. Oh moonshine, oh how I love thee. You killed my poor father, and now you drive me. Oh bless all moonshiners, and bless all moonshine, for the breath smells as sweet as the dew on the vine. I'm a gambler, I'm a long ways from home. And if you don't like me, well, leave me alone. I'll eat when I'm hungry, and I'll drink when I'm dry. If the moonshine don't kill me, I'll live till I die. I'm a rambler, I'm a gambler, I'm a long ways from home. And if you don't like me, well, leave me alone. I'll eat when I'm hungry, and I'll drink when I'm dry. If the moonshine don't kill me, I'll live till I die.
fisherman's daughter. I know the danger and beauty
secure and a cruelty. They haul their boats on the land, but that never kept the man from dancing between lights green and red, port and starboard. I'm a miner's daughter, and he moved a mountain for me, taught me to dig deeper, beyond and beneath what the eye could see. He'd say, balance your goals, turn your back to the cold and move forward. Between lights green and red, port and starboard, port and starboard. When times change, the hands don't stop moving. He went back to the ocean just to keep us afloat. And down with the ship was the headline that broke me. So who am I now? I'm the fallen man's daughter, and you are the lighthouse I see from the darkness, caught between port and starboard. And those damn October winds call to young men and keep them between lights green and red, port and starboard, port and starboard, port and starboard, port and
In the year of our Lord 1806, we set sail for the cold way of Cork. We were sailing away with a cargo of bricks to the Grand City Hall in New York. We'd an elegant craft, it was rigged fore and aft, and how the trade winds drove her. She had several masts, and she stood several blasts, and they called her the Irish Rover.
So fare thee well, my pretty little girl, I must sail away. So fare thee well, my pretty little girl, I must sail away.
There was Marty McGee from the banks of the Lee. There was Hogan from County Tyrone. There was Johnny McGurk, who was scared stiff of work, and a chap from Westmeath named Malone. And there was Slugger O'Toole, who was drunk as a rule, and Fighting Bill Tracy from Dover. And young man Chris McCann from the banks of the Bann was the skipper of the Irish Rover.
So fare thee well, my pretty little girl, I must sail away. So fare thee well, my pretty little girl, I must sail away. Here we go!
We had sailed several weeks when the measles broke out, and our ship lost its way in the fog.
Oh my God!
And the whole of the crew was reduced down to two, with myself and the captain's old dog. Well, the ship struck a rock, oh Lord, what a shock, and nearly tumbled over. Spun 9 times around, and that poor old dog was drowned. I'm the last of the Irish Rover.
So fare thee well, my pretty little girl, I must sail away. So fare thee well, my pretty little girl, I must sail away. So fare thee well, my pretty little girl, I must sail away. So fare thee well, my pretty little girl, I must sail, I must sail away.
gather round for a story to be had of a 6'6" strapping lad. He'd enlist to the Navy of his own port stead and make a name and then return home. Towering man, quiet and shy, he hugged his kids and kissed his wife goodbye. And he said, young Billy, don't you cry, for soon I'll be coming home. And she wished Johnny would stay home. Johnny came aboard with a gleam in his eye. On the dock below there stood his wife, smiling and waving as she said goodbye. And to me she yelled, bring Johnny home. Never had we seen such a vaulting man, with a thirst for knowledge and a course well planned. He spoke of his family again and again, and a life he soon would sow. Yeah, we'd all see Johnny home, and we'd all see Johnny home someday, to his wife and kids assuring it's okay. We'd eat and we'd drink and we'd end the day with a sad old sailor's song. And we'd all see Johnny home someday. We'd reminisce and we'd laugh and we'd watch the kids play, talk about how we're gonna spend our days. Yeah, we'd all see Johnny home. The captain was an undaunted man. He swore he knew his enemy all firsthand, and we knew someday he'd make his stand if again their paths did cross. It was dark as hell on a ghostly night. The cannon fire was the only light, and what we saw next was a sickening sight, and the captain's life was gone. To the battle we all saw Johnny run. Johnny jumped in without a fear for his life as the enemy boarded our starboard side. We were 15 down and dropping like flies when I saw Johnny's eyes turn red. And he let forth a scream and a ravenous might, with a pistol in his left and a cutlass in his right. Like a wild hurricane he commenced to fight. This battle's not finished yet, and to Johnny we owe our debt. And we'd all see Johnny home someday, to his wife and kids assuring it's okay. We'd eat and we'd drink and we'd end the day with a sad old sailor's song. And we'd all see Johnny home someday. We'd reminisce and we'd laugh and we'd watch the kids play, talk about how we're gonna spend our days. Yeah, we'd all see Johnny home. Then the crew joined in until the ship we reached, with a newfound vigor of 10 men each. Some did die and some did flee, but in the end our crew stood tall. Then we all looked at Johnny, now covered in blood. He collapsed to his knees, cursing heaven above. For me punishment, here what have I done? And he muttered, I failed them all. And we all saw Johnny fall. And we all saw Johnny home that day, to his wife and kids assuring it's okay. We told him of the battle on the 5th of May, and not a braver man had fought. And we all broke down when she started to cry, and she fell down beside him and she said goodbye. And the children fell in with her by her side, and for the lost time stood still. And England stood for the months of prayers, but when unanswered as she drew back her long dark hair. And we all watched as she died a little bit right there. Then she stood and addressed me as Sir. Thank God you brought Johnny home.
true love did meet. It was there we went to court. My love went off to sleep. I had a bottle of Burgundy wine. My true love she did not know. It was there I poisoned that dear little girl down on the banks below. I drew my saber through her. It was a bloody knife. I threw her into the river. It was an awful sight. My father often told me that money would set me free if I but murder that dear little girl whose name was Rose Conley. And now he stands at his cabin door, wiping his tear-dimmed eyes, mooning for his only son upon the gallows high. My race is run beneath the sun. The devil is waiting for me, for I may murder that dear little girl whose name was Rose Conley.
So far away, but I feel that you still haunt me. You're like a hunter when you see his quarry. Together we will survive. You don't have to worry. I don't want to see you crying. Inside I feel I'm dying. You have your place forever in my heart. I don't want to see you crying. Inside I feel I'm dying. Till it's time to go. All I want to know is that you'll never be all alone. All the day your beautiful eyes are in my mind. What can I do to win your heart again? I don't want to see you crying. Inside I feel I'm dying. You'll have your place forever in my heart. I don't want to see you crying. Inside I feel I'm dying. You'll have your place forever in my heart. I don't want to see you crying. Inside I feel I'm dying. You'll have your place forever in my heart. I don't want to see you crying. Inside I feel I'm dying. You'll have your place forever in my heart. Forever in my heart.
Come on, let's get the shovel and cart. Move your tired legs. This work is hard. It comes straight from our hearts. Come on, folks, let's step the beat in the muddy fields. Work to the beat. Can't you feel the heat? This is where we belong. We have to sing this song in memory of James Brown, who came to Inishmore. He found his true love in 1854. The hot-blooded lad should have listened to what he said. He worked during the night, and now he is dead. will its voice and drags you into the fog. Take a look at the clock. This is where we belong. We have to sing this song in memory of James Bryan, who came to Inishmore. He found his true love in 1854. The hot-blooded lad should have listened to what he said. He worked during the night, and now he is dead. You stay, I cannot live alone. It hurts so much when I pray. I'm begging for you to come home. I won't find no love no more. You were the one I lived for. But I will give you my most honest word. The story of James Bryan will be heard. In memory of James Bryan, who came to Inishmore. He found his true love in 1854. The hot-blooded lad should have listened to what he said. He worked during the night, and now he is dead. In memory of James Bryan, who came to Inishmore. He found his true love in 1854. The hot-blooded lad should have listened to what he said. He worked during the night, and now he is dead. Oh, my love, why did you stay? I cannot live alone. It hurts so much when I pray. I'm begging for you to come home. I won't find no love no more. You were the one I lived for. But
Tu te quittes chez nous quand vient le printemps. Je prendrai une bière en attendant. Les jours tristes, j'écoute sur mon stéréo pour changer le mal de place un air des hélicos. J'imagine chez nous l'été, ce qui quand il fait beau. Le bruit des vagues, le soleil puis le salin, tout le monde est là, une petite bière à la main. Je regarde au loin en écoutant la musique à jeun. Sur le quai de chez nous, quand vient le printemps, y a ben du monde qui passe leur temps. On sème l'espoir aux 80. Je prendrai une bière en attendant. Je rencontre des chums, ça fait longtemps que j'avais pas vu. Quoi de neuf, mon pote de quai, c'était devenu. On se donne la main, puis on va rattraper le temps perdu. Les va commencer, puis il manque plus personne. On tape du pied en écoutant la musique qui résonne. Sur quai chez nous, quand vient le printemps, y en ben du monde qui passe leur temps. On sème l'espoir aux 80. Je prendrai une bière en attendant. Arrive, on est encore sur le quai, y'a rien de plus beau qu'un coucher de soleil sur la baie. On va sortir les guitares, mon puis mon champi, on va se mettre à jouer. Le bruit des vagues, la lune, puis la s'enlèvement, on va dormir là-dessus en rêvant à demain. On va remplir mon champ, j'en viens chez nous, puis ôtez-vous du chemin. Sur le quai chez nous, quand vient le printemps, y'a ben du monde qui passe leur temps. On sème l'espoir aux 80. Je prendrai une bière en attendant. Sur le quai de chez nous, l'été d'avant, y'a moins pis elle, pis un peu de temps. On sème l'espoir qu'on a en dedans. Je prendrai une bière en attendant.
They sailed away on that gallant bark, Roy Neal and his fair young bride. They had ventured all on that bounding ship that danced on the silvery tide. And his heart was young and his spirit light as he kissed her tears away. And they watched the shore retreat from sight of their own sweet Dublin Bay. Three days they sailed when the storm arose and the lightning swept the deep. When the thunder crash broke the sharp repose of the weary sailor's sleep. Roy Neal, he clasped his weeping bride and he kissed the tears away. Oh, love was a fearful hour, he cried, when we left sweet Dublin Bay. On the crowded deck of that doomed ship, some fell in their deep despair, and some more calm with a holier heart sought the God of the storm in prayer. She has struck a rock, the sailors cried in their breath of wild dismay. And that ship went down with the fair young bride that sailed from Dublin Bay. Sailed away in that gallant bark, Roy Neal and his fair young bride. They had ventured on that bounding ship that danced on the silvery tide. But his heart was young and his spirit light as he kissed her tears away. And they watched the shore retreat from sight of their own sweet Dublin Bay.
A Scotsman clad in kilts left the bar one even fair, and one could tell by how he walked that he drank more than his share. He fumbled on until he could no longer keep his feet, and stumbled off into the grass to sleep beside the street. Ring ding diggy diggy daddy oh, ring dum diggy daddy oh. He stumbled off into the grass to sleep beside the street. About that time, two young and lovely girls just happened by, and one says to the other with a twinkle in her eye,
"See old sleeping Scotsman, so strong and handsome build.
I wonder if it's true what they don't wear beneath the kilt. Ring ding dee dee daddy oh, ring dum dee daddy oh. I wonder if it's true what they don't wear beneath the kilt."
Quiet as can be, and lifted up his kilt about the need so they could see. And there behold for them the view beneath the Scottish skirt was nothing more than God had graced him with upon his birth.
Ring ding dee dee daddy oh, ring dum dee dee daddy oh, was nothing more than God has graced him with upon his birth. Marveled for a moment, then said,
"We must be gone. Let's leave a present for our friends before we move along."
As a gift I left a blue silk ribbon tied to a bow. Around the bonny star the Scots gilded a lifted show. Ring ding 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 daddy oh, ring dum ding daddy oh. Around the bonny star the Scots gilded a lifted show.
Walked to nature's call, he stumbled for the trees behind the
of tough life, full of toil and strife, we whalers undergo. And we don't give a damn when the gale is done, how hard the winds do blow.
So we're homeward bound, it's a damn fine sound, with a good ship taut and free. And we don't give a damn when we drink our rum, with the girls of old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic ground, rolling down to old Maui.
Once more we sail with a northerly gale through the ice and sleet and rain, and the coconut fronds on the tropical isles we soon shall see again.
6 hellish months have passed away in the cold Kamchatka Sea, but now we're bound from the Arctic ground, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic ground, rolling down to old Maui.
How warm the breeze on the tropical seas, now the ice is far astern. The Hawaiian maids on the island glades are awaiting our return.
And the big black eyes even now look out, hoping someday they will see our baggy sails running for the gales, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic ground, rolling down to old Maui.
Once more we sail with a favourable gale, towards our island home. Our mainsail's sprung and our whaling's done, and we ain't got far to roam.
Our studdsail booms are carried away, what care we for that sound? A living gale is after us, thank God we're homeward bound. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic ground, rolling down to old Maui.
And now we're anchored in the bay with Kanakas all around. Oh, with chats and stuff aloha away, they greet us homeward bound.
And now ashore we'll have good fun, we'll paint the beaches red, lying in the arms of Hawaiian maids with a big fat aching head. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic ground, rolling down to old Maui.
Anytime by the wind or rain, we're out again sailing. In a house is a memory, megaphone and the reverie. Anytime by the wind or rain, we're out again sailing. In a house is a memory, megaphone and the reverie. Anytime by the wind or rain, we're out again sailing. In a house is a memory, megaphone and the reverie. Anytime by the wind or rain, we're out again sailing. In a house is a memory, megaphone and the reverie. Into the distance, my hometown fades. I still remember a childhood games back on the shores of Santa in this hurricane season. Out in the screaming winds, God knows what waves will bring. We've been forgiven for losing our reason. Anytime by the wind and rain, we're out again sailing. In a house is a memory, metaphor and a hurry. Anytime by the wind and rain, we're out again sailing. In a house is a memory, metaphor and a hurry. Into the distance, my hometown fades. I still remember our childhood games back on the shores of sand. We live the lives we planned and try to find a reason in this hurricane season. Out in the screaming winds, God knows what waves will bring. We've been forgiven for losing a reason. Dream me back in your arms when I held you tight. See my little girl smile, give me strength tonight. Back on the shores of sand, we live the lives we planned and try to find a reason in this hurricane season. Out in the screaming winds, God knows what waves will bring. We've been forgiven for losing a reason. Anytime by the wind and rain, we're out again sailing. In a house is a memory, metaphor around the brewery. All around, all effulgency, feel the sound on our faces. Another star in Galicia.
daddy and his daddy before. You hardly ever saw granddaddy around here. He'd only come to town about twice a year. He'd buy 100 pounds of yeast and some copper line, new man wanted granddaddy bad. He headed up the holler with everything he had. It's before my time, but I'm being told you never come back from Copperhead Road. Granddaddy ran the whiskey in a big block Dodge. He bought it in an auction at the Mason's Lodge. Johnson County Sheriff painted on the side. Just shot a coat of primer, then he looked inside. Well, him and my uncle tore that engine down. I still remember that rumbling sound. Well, the sheriff came around in the middle of the night. Heard mama crying, knew something wasn't right. He was headed down to Knoxville with the weekly load. You could smell that whiskey burning down Copperhead Road. I volunteered for the army on my birthday. They draft the white trash first around here anyway. I've done 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. I came home with a brand new plan. I took the sea from Colombia to Mexico. It planted up the holler down Copperhead Road. Now the DA's got a chopper in the air. I wake up screaming like I'm back over there. I learned a thing or two from old Charlie, don't you know? You better stay away from Copperhead Road. Copperhead Road. Copperhead Road. Copperhead Road. Copperhead Road.
Et c'est là-dessus que se termine notre émission. La dernière où il n'y aura pas de blabla. Ça va reprendre la semaine prochaine, mardi, avec le début de la saison. Donc, on va être là, on va être présent. Ça fait qu'en attendant, il vous reste jeudi où Maître Gino sera là à 20h avec We Rock the Dead. Et dimanche, début de la saison, avec là où les violons de mer font la fête, avec Capitaine Smo et moi-même qui seront en onde. Voilà. Donc, là-dessus, je vous souhaite de bonnes fins de soirée. Profitez de la semaine, il va faire beau. Il va peut-être pleuvoir un petit peu pareil, mais si rien, il va faire chaud encore. Fait que profitez de tout ce moment. Et on se dit Machenli Vendrasta.